Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I'll bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
The Ticket.
Podcasts are brought to you in part by Lewis Jewelers, the official jeweler of The Ticket and proud partner of Michigan Athletics.
And we are back here on the Michigan Insider, Sports Talk 1050, WTKA, online at WTK.com. Sam Webb, Ira Weintraub on the other side of county, right? So NBA Finals are upon us, right? Phoenix Suns, they scored a victory. They look really good. Chris Paul looked really good. 36 years old and played like he's in his prime. And Ira made the great point. It's like, probably easier to do when you got a budding superstar in Devin Booker right there. You got a guy in DeAndre Ayton who looks like he's taking a massive step here in the postseason. So you got some young up-and-coming talent. Your game isn't necessarily predicated upon quickness or, explosiveness, leaping ability. You're a crafty, high IQ, savvy point guard that can shoot. It has a good mid-range game. And we saw those things. And is very adept at getting to the free throw line. We saw those things in effect yesterday with Chris Paul. That's the story, right? But heading into the finals, big story was actually the coverage of the finals. How can that be? How can the biggest story about the finals be the coverage of the finals? Well, when there is major infighting at ESPN to the point where top talent is threatening a boycott, top talent including Jalen Rose, by the way, who made some very pointed comments to management about what he wasn't willing to do to vouch for them and how much he disapproved of their handling of an issue that emerged between Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor, host of NBA Countdown, which is their pregame and halftime show, right? And Rachel Nichols, who, and Maria Taylor also on their college football coverage as well. You see her as a sideline reporter. A lot of folks maybe know her most from that infamous halftime interview with Nick Saban, where he kind of just did the Nick Saban thing. Like, it was very flippant, very, very terse, very short, very dismissive, ultimately pretty disrespectful. He later apologized for that, but she handled that very well, which she does. I mean, she's really, really good. Rachel Nichols, really, really good as well. Host of NBA's The Jump, right? So apparently, allegedly, supposedly, she had been told, this according to her, that she, heading into last year's finals, would be their lead host, which means that she would have taken over the seat that Maria had been sitting in anyway, which is the countdown seat. Someone apparently, allegedly, supposedly told her that, right? That didn't happen. That was Maria. She stayed in the seat for the finals last year. That set off a chain of events that was covered first by Deadspin in a much different tone, by the way. Then the New York Times covered it with the day before yesterday. Headline story, a disparaging video prompts explosive fallout within ESPN. And this was in reaction to Rachel Nichols being caught on a hot mic saying the following. She said, I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football. She covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it from me or taking my thing away. She didn't know that was being captured, that was being recorded. The New York Times said that she was using new technology. She wasn't very familiar with it. And this is a mistake that could happen as a result. There was other commentary that said, hey, you probably had a production person on the other end that should have known that you shut that down. When she's not recording, you shut that down for whoever the talent is that is doing the talking on the other end. And so I talked yesterday about this topic with both of those things in mind, that she was using new technology, right? That this is a thing that doesn't excuse what she said, but maybe does it leave ESPN open to some criticism? Does it leave ESPN open to maybe a lawsuit for invasion of privacy? Does it point the finger at maybe some people on the production side that, hey, maybe you were looking, prying, listening when you shouldn't have been? Found out that entire line of thinking is off base. Because, in talking to some people who are very well versed in the inner workings of how things play out there at ESPN, what I found out is the way that they do these hits is with some software called, it's a TVU system. Ira, have you heard of that? It's a TVU.
I don't know the system in particular, but I'm familiar with the general idea.
All right, so this is old technology. This is very old technology. So old.
So this is what's in like Adam Schefter's house or John Clayton or whoever those.
John Clayton would use this. This is not new stuff that she would have been unfamiliar with. Number one, she just simply forgot to turn it off. Period. Not due to lack of experience with it, not being versed in how it works. None of that. This was a simple lapse. And that's one side of it. The other side of it, from the production assistant side. So the way that these things are scheduled out. So Rachel Nichols in this case, right? So she hosts The Jump. She might have some hits for Sports Center or some other programming. So what they would do is they would program a window for you. So let's say you got 12 to 4, where this is your window, Rachel. Why don't you go record XYZ at 1 o'clock? You come back and record something else at 3 o'clock. Basically, they program this window for you to record in. You don't have to sit there for the entire 4 hours recording, but it frees you up to go do other things and to record at your convenience or at your leisure when it fits into your daily schedule. That whole time, though, Ira, the recording is going. Anytime the camera isn't on, it's recording silence and, a blank screen. And when you go on, boom, it starts recording you, audio, video. It is up to you to, if you aren't recording in those windows, those assigned windows at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock, it's up to you to call in and say, hey, I recorded at 1:30. Look for my stuff at 1:30. Look for it again at 3. Look for more stuff at 3:30. And so then the production assistant goes in and finds that content. So it's not like there was this voyeur, sitting there and Rachel forgot to turn off her mic. And they said, oh, look what I found. You go to find stuff anyway. You go to find stuff on this server anyway. That's a general practice there at ESPN that they do, right? And it's not even like just the production people are the only ones with access. I mean, anyone that's employed there has access to all. Ira, if you worked at ESPN, you went over to ESPN today. I'm not telling you to go. Let's say you went to ESPN today, you were hired in tomorrow. The next day, Ira, you would have access to all this video. Not this particular video because ESPN's deleted from the server for obvious reasons. But you would have access to all of it, Ira. So this was not some Aaron Andrews like incident, which was ironically, Ira, the first story that came out on this was in Deadspin last year. And if you read that Deadspin story, which I hadn't at the time when we first started talking about it yesterday, Ira, that first Deadspin story made this seem like an Aaron Andrews sort of incident where, she was being spied upon like this. We got this video from this creep is kind of what it said. We got this video from this creep, basically capturing Rachel Nichols when she didn't know it. And that wasn't the nature of the video. And a lot of the speculation since that point was that, this was a leak from Maria Taylor or someone aligned with Maria Taylor. And this was a gotcha video for Rachel Nichols. And this was not an Erin Andrews type of situation. This was not someone spying on her at all, nor was it a production assistant falling down on the job. This was a common occurrence workflow and a lapse on her part with usage. So this is much along the lines of what you said yesterday, Ira. This is a classic hot mic scenario. You nailed it in a way that the New York Times didn't. They were absolutely wrong in how they depicted it. You were right in how you.
Because I gave an analogy, right? Because I gave an analogy of when I do post game shows from a hotel room, and I dial the gear up, and the game ends, and I dial the gear up, and I say, "Hey, Miz, I'm all dialed in. You ready to go?" In about 45 minutes, he says yes, and I'm like, "Okay, I may leave the room and grab a bite to eat. I may do this. I may do that. I may go to the bathroom. Heck, I might even take a shower who knows? But you know what I do? I turn the microphone off. If there was a camera involved, if we were using the StreamYard system that we use, I would have hit the stop camera. So it would have been a muted camera and a muted mic. The connection would have been there. He would have known I was still there, but it would have been muted. Yes, when you have equipment that is always on, we had this situation happen. I gave the story about what happened in D.C. a bunch of years ago, and I heard people on a hot mic. Mics are on or they are off. You have that control. You've got to know these things. It's not a pass on what she said, but just how this all got out. This got out because she left the microphone on because the camera could have stayed on. It would have looked. This has happened with me and Sam. Sam will be on the other end of this. We'll be in a break, and I got a phone call. I hit mute. I don't need to listen to Sam's phone call. I hit mute on his microphone, and so I am seeing him have a conversation. It's pretty funny to watch. You see a guy's head bobbing around a little bit. Maybe he's talking a little. He's kind of not, But I don't hear a word. I don't hear anything. I just know he's talking to somebody on the phone. That's what she should have done. They would have seen her talking on the phone, but she could have been talking to her mom. She could have been talking to who she was talking to, or she could have been talking to anybody else.
And see, but here's the thing, the difference in that particular instance is they don't necessarily have a production assistant sitting on the other side for the whole 4 hours of her window. She just records, and then the production person can come in and look for it after the fact. So that's just that's the function of it. That was misrepresented in the New York Times. The other piece that seemed to be, not correct, that was really brought to my attention was this idea that, and I won't even say this is something that the Times put forth in their article, but the suggestion had been that this whole thing is an effort, a negotiation tactic by Maria Taylor, right? And so thought being that, hey, you know what? She's not going to get what ESPN is offering her, even if it's lower than what they originally offered her last year and she turned down. She's not going to get that from any other company. And I was told no uncertain terms yesterday, she has 2 other offers on the table that are right there with what ESPN is offering. So you wonder if ESPN is painted in the corner because of the optics of this. Ordinarily, I would say they think even Maria Taylor, as good as she is, they think she's replaceable. I think they probably think the majority of people not named Stephen A. Smith are replaceable at ESPN. But the backdrop of this, the circumstances here, I wonder if it does make them feel more pressure to sign her, to re-sign her. I don't know. And I don't know if at this point, does she even want to be there after this? As for Rachel Nichols, it's going to be difficult. I don't think that this necessarily spells the end, Ira, for her. I do think it's the beginning of a very difficult period because I think it was a very bad look that they put her out with a canned sort of apology that she only spent. She spent maybe 60 seconds to a couple of minutes doing the talking, and then Kendrick Perkins and Richard Jefferson do the majority of the talking. That seemed very contrived from the management standpoint to have, okay, Rachel apologized, then had the two black dudes come and speak the rest of the way about why you're okay. That's how it came off to me. And I think it did her a disservice. I think that she can certainly come back from it. Her reputation is pretty good. She is very good at her job too. And I think with time that she can get past this, but for the time being, she's off the finals. She's off the finals coverage. So that should prevent this from being the story any further, at least as it relates to the finals. Now, this contract and this dispute behind the scenes, and Jay Will and Jalen and Adrian Wojnarowski all saying she's not a good team player and that kind of thing. I don't know how that's going to play out beyond the finals, but for the sake of the finals, this won't be the story any longer. So a little interesting background, and you definitely see some people lining up. There are a lot of Maria Taylor fans at ESPN. We heard from some of them. A lot of Maria Taylor fans at ESPN. Some who listen to this show, by the way. We got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Is it already Wednesday tomorrow?
No, tomorrow's Thursday, Sam.
Tomorrow is Thursday? Wow, it's already
Thursday. Wednesday today, Sam.
Crazy.
You did rewind, remember? We just didn't have Steve Clark, so you threw off your schedule a little bit.
That's right. And so that means if it's Wednesday and it's July 7th, that means it's Miles Pollard Day. He's going to announce his decision coming up this afternoon. So be on the lookout for that over on the MichiganInsider.com. That'll do it for the show. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTK, The Ticket, the official voice of University of Michigan Sports, Ann Arbor, a Cumulus station.